Hello, welcome back to my channel, Retire Abroad Finance. My name is Martha. I just want to take a quick moment to update everyone on the situation with the contract negotiations that were going on, which would extend my time just a little bit past the 10 months notice that I gave them. So I have linked either on this side or this side, I don't know which one, the previous videos with this, giving the story behind this. But anyway, so last week I did travel to Dallas for my retirement send-off. My actual retirement date is the last day of August, and they were looking to retain me or my services in a limited fashion for another 12 days or so. And so that's what I had offered in the contract. I had originally offered more, but I felt like I was not treated well in the negotiation process. So I did take the rest of it off the plate and left only those 12 days. So anyway, one of the tasks that I needed to get done this last week in Dallas during my retirement trip was to go ahead and get that contract settled. In the last email that I sent, I did actually put an expiration date on there of Wednesday at close of business, this past Wednesday at close of business. So note to anyone out there, and I do cover this in one of the videos, but note to anyone out there, if you're going to put a contract forward like this for your services, you have got to put an expiration date for your terms, meaning they have to reply by a certain date, and that way that you don't get left hanging. So learn from my mistake. Learn from me. Put an expiration date on there, and don't make a really long one either. Make a decision. So anyway, I did have the meeting with the individual. It still wasn't clear to me if he had even read the contract and he was going to sign it. So I asked him if he'd read it, and he outright said, well, yeah, sure, but let's take another look, which told me he hadn't read it. But anyway, whatever. So he did sign it, and I'm going to disclose the terms and the amounts and everything after everything is completely wrapped up and I finish the work and everything else. I think that is wise to just hold off on that. But I did want to give an update that the contract has been exercised, it's been executed, and so now I will be retired as an employee on the 30th, and I will still have a few deliverables due in the 12 days following that. They are going to prepay me. That was my term. That was my requirement, was prepaying. So now that I've said that, let's get on to the rest of the video. Hi, and welcome back to the video. Today, I did want to go into my options trading a little bit. I did have some requests from some subscribers that they wanted to know a little bit more about what I was doing. The first thing I want to say is I am an extreme newbie in options trading. I keep it simple. I follow the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. I am learning. So really, please do not follow what I'm doing. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving any financial advice. And with options trading, you have to be ready to lose all the money that you're using. So I just need to let you know that, okay? So first of all, in full disclosure, I did talk to my husband about what I wanted to do, explained how options trading worked, explained the strategy that I was going to stick to, and we both settled on an amount of the savings that I could use to quote unquote play and hopefully generate some income. I find stuff like this fun. So it may be that, you don't find it fun, and that's fine. That's fine. We all have our kicks, right? But I do understand that options trading does carry some risk, and I am trying to do it in the most conservative way possible. So I am going to kind of briefly go over that and just show some of the trades that I did today or the last few weeks. To begin with, I am showing the amount of income that I've been able to make for these different weeks, just to show you what is possible. I am using a fair amount of cash. I am primarily doing cash secured puts, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I am also trying to primarily trade on stocks that I do not mind owning one iota, especially if I can get them at a discount. So, I'm not going to go into the stocks that much. Um, but I will give an example or two of some trades that I was able to execute. So anyway, I'm primarily using cash secured puts, which means that you are underbidding a stock. I'm going to try to simplify this like in the way that I would understand it, and the way I do understand it. I'm underbidding. I'm saying if a stock drops to this amount, then I will buy 100 shares of it. Even if it goes beyond that drop, I will buy 100 shares at that price. And, um, my thesis on these stocks is that they're very, very strong stocks. They're going to bounce back from whatever dip that they do. Um, and if I do end up with them, I can then sell calls on them above what it cost me and make a profit that way. So, these are stocks that I'm, number one, willing to own, happy to own. Number two, that I would not mind starting a quote unquote wheel strategy on. That means that you're pretty much, you know, owning the stocks, selling calls on them, possibly getting called away, buying more stock, that kind of thing. So I'm ready to start doing that if I need to. And number three, if they get called away, once I am assigned them, if I sell a call on them and they get called away, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not married to these stocks. I'm not emotionally invested in these stocks. I'm just looking for good stocks. So, as you can see, I have managed to uh, earn almost $4,000 in a little over a month, which is excellent. This is fantastic for me because our budget is $4,000 a month. So what this has shown me is that if the dividends do fall behind that we are getting, if I'm not able to continually get 4,000, that I can supplement with options trading. So that's the first thing it's shown me. The second thing it's shown me is that I don't need to be uh, using as much money as I'm currently using right now, because with the strategy I have so far, I've been able to make very good yields. You can see here, if you annualized the yields out, um, then it's pretty good. Let me see what the average of that is. 111%. I can't I can't cry about that. So I'm probably going to back down the amount. And in fact, I have decided to set a goal of $1,000 a month only. And so I'm going to be backing down from the amount that I'm actually using for these puts. But right now it's earnings season for the stocks that I'm especially interested in. So and I'll show you how I determine those. So anyway, it's very profitable for me so far. I put in a little bit of time on Friday and sold a few puts. I rolled a couple that I'm trying to redeem, and I ended up with $640 in one day. So I'm real pleased about that. So let's move over to the watch list. And this is where I basically have um, a list of stocks that I am watching, I am interested in, um, and I have the volatility. The way that options play works is that the higher the volatility, the greater the premiums that you can earn when you basically put an option out there. You're doing what's called selling a cash secured put, saying, I am willing to buy MP, for example, if it hits 73. Um, then I'm willing to buy 100 shares. And for that, someone is going to pay me. So they're going to pay me to basically be their insurance policy. They own 100 shares of MP, And they're saying, you know what? I don't want to own it if it goes to 73. So I want someone to be forced to buy it from me if it goes to 73 or under. Okay, so they don't have to exercise it. They can keep their shares at 73, but I have to sell. I'm accepting the money to take on the risk. So I have to buy it at 73 if it dips down and they choose to sell it. So that's kind of how that works with the cash secured put. It just means that I have cash on hand ready. I personally am not using margin funds. I don't do any more borrowing. So I'm not using margin. I'm using my cash in my brokerage account to do this. And and so I feel like, okay, the most I can be out is, say in this example, 73 times 100, $7,300. And I would end up with a stock in hand at the end of it. So that's why I want to only choose um, what I would consider to be good stocks to trade. Some of these, like BYD, I put it on the list. I'm still looking into it. I'm not crazy about it, um, as well as OMC. Another one that I am adding to the list, though, is CloudShare. Let's drag all this down. Okay, so CloudShare or Cloudflare, excuse me, Cloudflare. Current price is 204. And it's got margin maintenance, but I'm not using margin, so that doesn't apply to me. The IV is 46%. Um, it's just got a 52-week low and a 52-week high. This one probably I'm going to only trade around earnings period because there's just too much variation there for me. I wouldn't want to put in sell a put for say 190 and have it go down to 74. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have my bankroll. This is what I'm talking about with the risk. Okay. So one of the first puts that I did sell was for Walmart. And I did Walmart going into earnings. It was right around, let me open this up and I'll show you. Okay, so here's Walmart. Okay, I put it in right before earnings. The stock price was at 95.59. I sold a strike right in there, or a put right at the strike price of 95 because I was betting that Walmart was going to do well. And if it wasn't going to do well, I was going to own it right around 95. And I knew there was a market for selling calls on it. So I did take a bit of a chance on that one. And I got $60 for it. It was only for 4 days. And that paid off because it closed at, I think, 97. So nobody forced me to buy. They're not gonna make me buy Walmart at 95 when they can get 97 on the market if they have to sell it. So that one expired worthless. You can see that. I also tried Uber. Uber, I had to roll because Uber, I don't know what the heck happened with Uber, but even though the earnings went well, it started dropping. And so I rolled it down a couple of times. You can see here, 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 and here, but I ended up still making money on it. So if you roll down carefully and cautiously and extend it out, you can still make some pretty good money on it, I think, most of the time. So I'm not saying I'm never going to have a loss, but I'm trying really hard to pay attention. So here's, I made $276 on it, even though I started out really just too high. Um, by the time that I was able to buy it out, um, I had gotten it down to a strike price of 90 from 92.5. So, I just walk it down. Um, so let's see, what's something else I want to talk about? So Amazon did really well for me. I rolled it. Um, Okay. So I put in the strike price at 222.5. Um, and then it started to dip just a little bit. This was before earnings, or was it right after earnings? Anyway, it dipped. And so what I did was I rolled it out to the same strike price because I really felt like it was an emotional reaction because their numbers were really good in the market. They beat their estimates. I think that the market just didn't like the amount of money they were spending on AI. So I decided I was going to try to wait that out. And the money was excellent to do that. I just extended it out 1 week and I was able to clear $530 for 3 weeks worth of, waiting. So that's just a couple of examples of what I'm doing. I really don't want to, spend too much time on what I'm doing because, like I said, I am a beginner. And so um, I'm watching this a lot more than I feel like I would need to if I was more experienced. Um, but at times I had $40,000 tied up, if you will, on these cash secured puts. Um, and I've decided that I'm going to take that down considerably. And instead of, being able to generate, 3, 4 thousand a month, I'm going to take it down to 1,000 a month because you have to think about taxes too. I'm not really crazy about these tax amounts, but I want to see if it's possible. And then eventually I will be doing options trading out of my Roth once I really know what I'm doing. So I'm not planning on doing this forever out of my taxable funds. It is just convenient for me right now because that money was sitting there while I wait for the stock IVV to come down. I did get a bargain on some IVV and I bought in, but I still have 40,000 sitting out in cash that's I'm using. So my strategy behind that is that I have the 40,000 sitting, it's in a cash secured put. What that means is that it can still sit in my brokerage account and earn me interest in my cash management account at Fidelity, but I can't use it for anything else. It's spoken for. It's security. Think of it like collateral on a loan. So I have to have that amount of money there just in case someone decides, oh, hey, let me look at one of these. What have I got going? Okay. Right now I've got Cisco. Okay. So I've got Cisco. I did a strike price of 69. They have an earning date. Did I put them on here? I didn't. Their earning date is a couple of weeks. No, the earning date is this coming week. So that's why I only sold it into the 15th. So it's only 1 week. But I put a strike price of 69 after looking at all the news and what's going on with Cisco, the analyst sentiment, the financials, everything. I really feel like it's got a good shot of going up. So I collected $100 on that. But now that $6,900 is basically being held as collateral um, for this put. And so I can't use it for anything else. So while it sits in the cash management account, it's earning 4% interest besides. So everything you can see for a yield here, you can increase by 4% as long as I don't get assigned. As soon as I get assigned, well, now I that money is no longer cash, and now I start to sell calls on it. So the other thing I did to practice the call side was I did buy myself some SoFi because they were coming into their earnings season eh, or earnings report, excuse me. So I did go ahead. I sold a SoFi call um, 7 days out. I sold it for 23 strike price and it ended at 22 and change. And so I got $44 for that. I turned around and sold another one for 2 weeks out and I sold it for 22.5. The time of selling the call, it was at 21. And so I made $49 for that. Um, I do keep track over here what the stock is actually, what my cost basis is. So my cost basis for that stock is 21.35 when I bought it. So as long as I sell above 21.35, I make at least that much more money um, on the stock if it's assigned, plus I get the premium. I know this is a lot of information and I may not be explaining it well, but this is basically how I'm doing what I'm doing. I had people ask me, but I'm staying very securely in cash secured puts with, like I said, stocks that I wouldn't mind owning, stocks that I understand who they are and what they do. And I'm trying to primarily trade around earnings dates. So I'm actually creating an earnings calendar, but I have an earnings calendar where I'm trying to put what months these different stocks that I'm interested in, um, what months they are actually have their next earnings report. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, so I've created an earnings calendar here where I'm taking stocks that I may or may not be interested in placing cash secured puts on, and I am entering their earning dates or when they expect to report earnings. So I'm just starting this calendar. This is not a comprehensive calendar. For example, I've got some of the, Tesla, which I'm probably not going to ever sell a cash secured put on. It's way too volatile for me. Um, I've got Tesla and Google. And then, of course, their next reporting date is October. So I need to go in and actually enter these. I have not figured out how to pull the next earning date in a formula. So there's that. But I have to look up, see if there's a Google Finance formula for that. But if you know what that is, please put it in the comments below. I'm a Google Sheets newbie. I'm an Excel veteran, but and I think I'm pretty good at Excel, but Google Sheets I'm still learning. So anyway, I'm just looking at basically different stocks that I may be interested in trading here, and I'm putting them on the earnings calendar just so that I can keep a watch out. Um, when I am settled with Cisco, I'm going to go ahead and move my call into NVIDIA. Their earnings date is, I want to say, let's see, I would have to sell the call, or excuse me, sell the cash secured put for, I think, August 29th, either the 21st or the 29th. I want to say it's the 29th. Um, so basically I have these planned out a little bit. Um, So basically, that's what I'm doing. I hope that this answers some questions that people have. I'm going to step this back. I'm going to go from the 40,000 that I have down to maybe, I don't know, 25 or 30 that I'm risking and keep it at about 1,000. And, part of that will be my contract money, and hopefully um, I would have earned that back pretty quickly so that I'm not really risking any money beyond what we're doing. But I am reporting on that now in my net worth videos. So, like I said, I really hope this helps. Um, you know, Mainly I'm using cash secured puts for the most part. I'm trying to sell them going into earnings, which will make my premium higher. I do not hesitate to roll my puts out. If it looks like I'm upside down or going to lose on them, I start to roll it down. And if I have to roll it down over 3 months, I will do that. If I don't want to own them, if there's too much of a disparity for me to own them at the price that I quoted for the strike, then I'll roll it down. Um, I almost ended up owning some, what was it? It wasn't Amazon. AMAT. I almost owned some AMAT last week. I had sold the strike price for I was running about 50 cents above what the close price looked like it was going to hit. And so I placed a buy to close for um for about it would have given me about an 80% win on the premium, and it was quite lucrative. So I decided that I was comfortable with that, and I was comfortable with owning the stock if it didn't because it was so close to the strike price that I'd put. And they're going into earnings in another 2 weeks, which I really felt like I would have some opportunity to make some decent income selling a call and starting a wheel. So it turned out that right before close, it hit my price that I was willing to pay to buy it to close. So I don't own AMAT today. Um, Let me drop that one in here because that's a really good stock. I have owned that one before, and it's very, very promising. I understand the company. I understand the strengths and the weaknesses, I think, of that company. And so, I felt really, really good about owning that one. I sold the strike at 185. Um, and the buy got down to where I was only paying 20% of the original premium, and so I felt like that was good. And so I went ahead and I sold it. Um, or I bought it to close. Sorry, I'm using wrong terminology. I bought to close the cash secure put out. But I would have been absolutely fine with owning 100 shares of that. The um, the calls that were going into the next couple of weeks were very, very high. In fact, I almost didn't put in a buy to close at all. I would have been fine with that. It would have been $18,000. It would have generated me probably at least $1,000 in the next few weeks. So I was fine with that, but I didn't overall. So here I just have the VIX, and then what the market volatility is. Anyway, I'm going to continue to add stocks here that I want to watch. And of course, I'll be watching the earnings dates to see, when's a good time for me to go ahead and possibly sell a cash secured put. Again, I continue to look at the financials on that. I'll drop a little picture in here of, the different things that I look at. I use Snowball Analytics primarily to look at the financials and to look at the news and get an idea if there's anything that I should know before I go ahead and sell the cash secured put. And so anyway, I hope that gives some visibility into what I'm doing here. And I will continue to report on my winnings. But again, please don't try to do what I'm doing, um, unless you understand what you're doing. I am a newbie at this. I am not educated at it. I am new to doing it. And so this income that I've been getting may be the well-known beginner's luck. So please, 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 please do not try to do this unless it's money that you can afford to lose. I feel so strongly about that, which is why I didn't start out sharing this, and I've only decided to do it recently. So anyway, hope this is helpful, and I hope you all have a great weekend. And if you like this content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And thank you as always for watching. God bless.